Hello and shalom. This is J. Rivka Asulin, founder and executive director of Ancient Roots Israel. Ancient Roots Israel is the first international herbal conference and community in Israel. Today, I'm here at the Banyas. Can you guys see this? I hope I don't drop my camera into the water. This place is so awesome, you guys. You've got to come here. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the mighty carob that I found at the Banyas. It's really, really high. I want to show you the leaves, but I think they're a bit difficult for me to access. So I'm going to show one closer to home. But you can see from the leaves on the carob, well, I'll show it to you where you can see them. But they have a kind of a unique shape with a little bit of serration on the leaves. Hello, I am now standing nearby my home looking at a male carob tree. This male carob has a really huge and gnarly trunk with great places for climbing and for sitting. Yeah, hang on. Look at this. This is some kind of interesting gnarly growths. No idea what it is. But I've seen it happen in carob trees. If you know more about this growth, what is on it, if it's a growth or it's specifically some kind of mold or something like this, let me know. Anyway, yes, so I talked about the leaves being, and I used the term slightly serrated, which wasn't really fair. What I meant to say was slightly wavy on the ends. It can give it appearance, can you see that? Of being slightly serrated. Let me try and grab that leaf better. You see how they have little wavy ends that kind of go in and out? Some of them, if you can see that. So they can look a bit wavy. Not serrated, but wavy. And there's some more up here. This one almost looks like an oak shape. Hang on, I'm going to try to zoom in on that one. I don't know if you can see it. But it has this wavy appearance sometimes, where they're just sort of curling up. Anyway, I know that this is a male carob tree. I will show you pictures of flowers taken from Wikipedia. I know it's a male carob tree because when it's in bloom and I pass it, it smells like human semen. That's one of the interesting keynotes about a male tree, a male carob tree. And we have female carob trees right over there, which works out great. I went and pulled one of the carobs from it. Come on, we'll walk to the park. The question that I wanted to address was how do you know when carobs are ready? This carob has an interesting story because it's actually quite past its prime. This was from last season's fruits, and it stayed on the tree. It did not fall off. Yeah, that's a lantana. It's always, I feel like you're going on a real plant walk with me because of course you are. Yes, we will get to all these in a bit. Okay, so this carob actually hung on to the branch from last season, and then it dried out, and as you can see, it has this gray kind of mottled appearance, and then it got reconstituted by all the rains. So now it's kind of like almost a little rubbery feeling, and gray. With all this mottled kind of spotting. It just looks nasty, and you know that it's not ripe. I'm going to break it open in a bit and we'll take a look at it. But anyway, when they're ripe, when they're all ready, they are not kind of shrivelly. They're like glossy and brown, and instead of gray. And they are, they're going to look much longer than this and flatter instead of this weird reconstituted, dried and then whatever, like the grapes on my vine right now. And they're going to be really crisp when you break them open. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably an animal was eating that acorn. Right. So I want to talk a little bit about the carob. Some of the medicinal uses, actually, there's a couple interesting stories. The first medicinal use, whenever I think of carob, because, well, let's go back. The carob, the part that's eaten, is the pod. Inside are seeds, and the seeds can actually be eaten as well, although I wouldn't suggest popping it in your mouth and breaking your teeth on it. The seeds on the inside are ground up and used to make locust bean gum, which is a thickening agent that you will probably see in your foods, listed on the ingredients. It actually comes from the seeds of the carob. Okay, so we were talking about locust bean gum. I'm going to try to break this with one hand. There we go. Here's the seeds. These seeds have a brownish color. I don't know if you can see that. Let me flip the camera. There you go. Typically they're more white and fair, but like I said, we've got an old pod, so that's full of excitement. I want you, and why is it called locust bean? Because this is also called the locust tree, the carob tree. It's also called St. John's bread and a lot of different names. But basically they extract this thickening agent from the seeds. Okay, so I have my ring here. It's got a little turquoise stone in it, and you can see that the seeds are fairly small. Basically, these seeds were used in standardizing the carat, like how many carats a diamond is or how many carats gold is. And if you want to learn more about the exact measurement, I forget what it is, but it was taken from the seeds. Okay, so here's the seed pods. Here, trying to shake out some seeds here with one hand. Okay, the part that is eaten is this. This is considered the pulp, the inside of this pod. And you can see it. This is even torn back a bit. Actually, this is kind of easier than a fresh one because of its rubberiness right now. And this pulp is about half 50% sugar. Okay, and it has a slightly chocolate smell, and it's very sweet. So here, I'll do the smell test. Okay, so that carob smell, even on an old carob, you still smell it. It's almost like a pinched chocolate smell. I can't explain it any better than that. But anyway, what is done with the carobs is you remove the seeds and you take the pods. Now I'm getting a good whiff on this side. Yeah. Okay. Carob has a special scent and flavor. People say that it's close to chocolate, and I can see that. But it has a unique flavor all its own. And I highly recommend, if you've never tried carob, you can get powdered carob pods, which is the carob that we sell in stores, from your local health food store and maybe beyond, depending on where you are. How it's made is that the pod, the seeds are removed. The pod is sometimes first roasted, just to kind of bring out the flavors. I don't know if you can see the ribbing in there and stuff. It's really interesting. I'll try and split that. And then it's ground up into a fine powder. Okay, so roasted, dried, ground into a fine powder, and that powder can be spooned into dishes to replace chocolate, although you'll get a really different flavor, or to create a carob milk, like chocolate milk, which I used to do for my kids, and other good stuff. It's really easy to use, and you can go and harvest your own pods, and you don't even have to roast them first, although some people prefer that difference in flavor, and just grind them. Get a machine that can handle grinding these pods, and you've got your carob powder right there. Just make sure it's nice and dry, but really when they're ripe, they are pretty dry. They're super nutritious, very, very high in mineral content, and and vitamins as well. There's a great story. It's kind of intoxicating. Like, I'm moving this around with my hands trying to split it for you, and more of the scent is coming out. Right. So there's the story, the Zohar story, right, that you probably know. Hang on, I just want to show you this pod. Okay, so the seeds sit right there, just like that. I'm losing them, trying to balance this with one hand, but here's the inside. These are eaten on the Jewish holiday of Tu B'Shvat and also Lag BaOmer, because of the Zohar story with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was escaping from the Romans and hid in a cave in Sfat. And miraculously, a carob tree sprouted right outside that cave and provided him with all, and his son, I believe, with all of the sustenance they needed to hide for something like, I don't know, 13 years. It was a really long time. And yeah, they ate these. Now, the Rambam says that these are really bad for your teeth to eat. This one, maybe not so much because it's super rubbery, but then again, it's old and that's kind of nasty. But when you're eating fresh carobs right off the tree, as we sometimes do, they're really hard on the teeth. They're really hard, and they're crunchy, and they require a certain amount of, power for your teeth. And I can imagine also, because they're so high in sugar, that it's just probably a really terrible thing for your teeth. Yes, I'm coming. Okay, not now, because I'm making a video. Right. So Rambam says that they're bad for the teeth. Shimon Bar Yochai ate them when he had nothing else to eat and actually survived off of them. In this really kind of holy state of mind where he was like ascending, level after level and attaining basically enlightenment, that was supported by his diet of fresh spring water and carobs from this tree. Right. Medicinally, I know of one use for the carobs medicinally, and it's really effective. I would give my children, if they were constipated, carob, a small amount of carob. But if you have, just a minute. If you have too much of something that usually helps with constipation, then that can not be good. Okay, so constipation, it can be obviously used as a laxative. And for me, that's how I've used it to help my children in a really, here, I will push you while I do this, in a really sweet way, where, if a child's already suffering from constipation, they're already stressed out and upset. And so giving them like a nice carob milk, like a chocolate milk, and saying, here, have this. Okay, sit down. Really helps them. It's an enjoyable thing. It's tasty. It's relaxing, especially the warm milk. And it's a nice, reliable laxative. But too much of a good thing. Keep that in mind. So for me, that's the one way that I've used it. But there are other ways that people use carobs, including, like I said, the mineral content is super high. So if you were trying to build bone, like in the case of osteoporosis or something like that, adding a little bit of carob to your diet, being mindful of its potentially laxative effects, might be something worth considering. You don't want to eat too much carob at any one given time, or eat it too often during the week. But in adding a bit to your diet as a food, even once a week or something like that, may be helpful. And cardiovascular health, it's just good for the arteries and good for the heart. It's good for blood pressure, and also blood sugar. probably because of its very high sugar content, but it can kind of raise the sugar level in your body in a much safer way than, say, eating a bunch of white processed sugar or something like that. And as a whole food, it just works energetically with our bodies. It's made to work with our bodies, unlike processed foods. So that might be another thing to look into. And as a food, just as a food product. Great. Okay, so I'm going to include some pictures of the blooms, the different flowers of both the female and male trees, just so that you will know the male tree when it's in bloom because of the smell, which we've discussed earlier. Really interesting. It's almost like a bleachy kind of smell, but many say human semen. And I have a friend who would walk past the tree when it was in bloom, and she would just get all red and start blushing and start giggling, and herbalist humor, I guess. Anyway, they're very nourishing, nutritious foods. If you don't have anything else, you can allegedly survive off of them, just like Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai did, the author of the Zohar. And you can use them primarily, for me anyway, as a constipation herb for kids. But for the other uses I mentioned as well, the seeds are also used for locust bean gum, which doesn't have anything to do with locusts. It's just another one of the many names of the tree. And a thickening agent for food, and you might notice it when you look at your different packaging for soups and other things. The locust bean gum does have a slight chocolatey scent, but in small amounts you really can't make that out. So it's favored in the food processing industry, and it was used as the standard unit of measurement for carrots. Not crunchy, yummy carrots, which is another herb that maybe I think we did cover. Did we cover Queen Anne sliced? Maybe we did, or maybe Leda did. But no, the carrots in a diamond ring or in gold or something like that. And you can read more about that, of course, online. So thanks for joining us on the virtual plant walk today. The carobs aren't quite ready yet. You're going to be seeing the end of the blooming season right now. But definitely carob trees are always around, and I will include a picture of the fruits as well, if I can, maybe from Wikipedia, of the fresh fruits. So be sure to leave your comments below about carob, how you use carob, what you like about carob, any medicinal uses that I didn't cover, and thanks for joining us. Take care.